What is there that you know you need to do, that you want to do this, but for some reason or another, you've been holding back? For some reason or another, you just have not been able to work through the procrastinating or putting it off or justifying, and you know you ought to do this. You really want to do this, but you don't know why you haven't done it. There are times when you're looking at it and you say, I know I need to do this, but I don't feel like it. I don't want to do it.
You'll know 1,000 people, at least over the course of your life. And they'll know 1,000 people each, and that puts you one person away from 1,000,000, and two persons away from 1,000,000,000. And so that's how you're connected. And the things you do, they're like dropping a stone in a pond. The ripples move outward, and they affect things in ways that you can't fully comprehend. And it means that the things that you do and that you don't do are far more important than you think. And so if you act that way, of course, the terror of realizing that is that it actually starts to matter what you do. And you might say, well, that's better than living a meaningless existence. It's better for it to matter. But I mean, if you really ask yourself, would you be so sure if you had the choice? I can live with no responsibility whatsoever. The price I pay is that nothing matters. Or I can reverse it and everything matters. But I have to take the responsibility that's associated with that. It's not so obvious to me that people would take the meaningful path.
There's always going to be a reason to wait. There's always going to be a busy schedule. There's always going to be something unexpected that happens. It's always going to be that way. You have to fucking work through it. But a lot of you motherfuckers just don't want it. It's easy to fall into the loving the idea of something, and it's hard to fall into the habits of action to actually achieve something. It's not about after the vacation or after this or after that. It's about right now. Now resolutions are the only thing that get results.
And I found out that the same things can happen to two different people. One gets rich and one stays poor. Why is that? It's not what happens, it's what you do. Two men wake up one morning, there's a rainstorm on. One of them looks out his window, sees the rainstorm, and he says, wow, what a storm. With weather like this, they can't expect you to go out and make sales. He stays home. Same morning, the other guy looks out his window, sees the same storm, says, wow, what a storm. But he says, you know what, with weather like this, what a great day to go out and make sales. Most everybody will probably be home, especially the salesman. See, that's the difference in how your life works out. It's not what happens, it's what you do.
Here is your great soul, the man who has given himself over to fate. On the other hand, that man is a weakling and a degenerate who struggles and maligns the order of the universe and would rather reform the gods than reform himself. You will only get one shot at today. You have only 24 hours with which to take it. And then it is gone and lost forever. Will you fully and hit all of today? Will you call out, I've got this, and do your very best to be your very best to be your very best? What will you manage to make of today before it slips from your fingers and becomes the past? When someone asks you what you did yesterday, do you really want the answer to be nothing? It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Life is long enough, and a sufficient generous amount has been given to us for the highest achievements if it were all well invested. But when it is wasted in heedless luxury and spent on no good activity, we are forced at last by death's final constraint to realize that it has passed away before we know it was passing. As for us, we face things that are not nearly as intimidating, and then we promptly decide we're screwed. This is how obstacles become obstacles. In other words, through our perception of events, we are complicit in the creation. As well as the destruction of every one of our obstacles, there is no good or bad without us. There is only perception. There is the event itself, and the story we tell ourselves about what it means.
When you catch yourself procrastinating, forgive yourself. Step one. The next time you catch yourself procrastinating, step one is forgive yourself. And there's a really profound reason why. Procrastination is not about laziness. It's not about a lack of discipline. It's not something you do because you're dumb. Procrastination is a coping mechanism. You just have a desire to feel good right now, and you deserve that. You have a desire to lessen the stress in your life, and you deserve to lessen the stress in your life. I get it. When you're somebody that procrastinates, you're really hard on yourselves to begin with. In fact, being hard on yourself is one of the major causes of why you're so damn stressed. And so taking a moment and forgiving yourself, and you've got to actually have a talk with yourself where you are sitting there like, oh my God, 2 hours just went by? Wow, I must be really stressed out. I forgive myself for just blowing off 2 hours on social media. And you know what? I can spend the next hour setting my day up tomorrow for success. The next step that you're going to take, once you forgive yourself, you got to recognize that you're doing it. Why? Because patterns and habits repeat unless you replace them. And so noticing that it's a pattern, catching yourself, forgiving yourself, that is a way we're going to break this pattern. Because the step 2, based on research, you must identify what you're stressed about. When you identify what you're actually stressed about, it loosens its grip on you. It comes out of hiding. And see, I think that stress backpack is an important analogy or metaphor. If you're sitting on the couch, 2 glasses of wine in, and you realize you've procrastinated for the last 5 hours, and you've acknowledged it, you've forgiven yourself for doing it, you've acknowledged the stress that you feel because, you are in a fight with a friend or a boyfriend or whatever. What is the you that's going to wake up tomorrow morning want you to do right now? I'll tell you what that you wants you to do. They want you to get off the couch. They want you to pack lunch for tomorrow. They want you to brush your teeth and turn off the TV and the phone and read 10 pages of nonfiction and get a good night's sleep. That's what the future you wants you to do. The future you does not want you to slip back into that vicious cycle and spend another 3 hours watching cat videos and memes and TikTok videos, which we both know is exactly what you would do if you didn't break the cycle by forgiving yourself for doing it for 3 hours, acknowledging what you're stressed about, and then deciding what the future you wants you to do instead. And then finally, use the 5-second rule. Use the 5-second rule. It's one of the most effective science-backed starting rituals on the planet for creating a new habit or pattern. And all you're going to do is you're just going to start. Because after you've forgiven yourself and you've validated what's stressing you out, and you've tapped into the future you who is kicking ass and taking names and needs you right now, the problem isn't your ability to do what you need to do. The problem is you've been trapped in this stress and trauma and nervous system triggered vicious procrastination cycle.
Don't waste the rest of your time here worrying about other people unless it affects the common good. It will keep you from doing anything useful. So there are 2 reasons to embrace what happens. One is that it's happening to you. It was prescribed for you and it pertains to you. The thread was spun long ago by the oldest cause of all, the art of living. Is neither careless drifting on the one hand nor fearful clinging to the past on the other. It consists in being sensitive to each moment, in regarding it as utterly new and unique, in having the mind open and wholly receptive. When you start to lose your temper, remember, there's nothing manly about rage. It's courtesy and kindness that define a human being, and a man. That's who possesses strength and nerves and guts, not the angry whiners. People seek retreats for themselves in the countryside, by the seashore, in the hills, and you too have made it your habit to long for that above all else. But this is altogether unphilosophical. When it is possible for you to retreat into yourself whenever you please, for nowhere can one retreat into greater peace or freedom from care than within one's own soul, especially when a person has such things within him that he merely has to look at them to recover from that moment perfect ease of mind. And by ease of mind, I mean nothing other than having one's mind in good order. So constantly grant yourself this retreat and so renew yourself, but keep within you concise and basic precepts that will be enough at first encounter to cleanse you from all distress and to send you back without discontent to the life to which you will return.